you know that your salary is guaranteed at the end of the month, you get paid, and you've got no risk, you've got no worry whatsoever. And that's the easiest thing to do. So only unless if that option is taken away, the majority of us will remain employed people. Then there is this category of people that get into business by choice. And this is actually a very small percentage of business people. The guy identified an opportunity and he decided that he is going to get out of formal employment and he's going to start a business. And if you can be in that category, I actually envy you for the bravery. But nonetheless, the majority of us may neither be in the first or the second category. Now, how do you decide what business to get into? So the assumption I'm working with here is that if we're going to create other sources of income, you're actually getting into business. Now, there are three ways that I have personally identified that one can get into business. And I'm just going to talk about them because for me, these are practical ways that one can approach the idea of creating other sources of income or getting into business. Number one, problem solution. For me, this means identifying a problem need within your local environment and creating solutions for that problem. Usually, people are always willing to pay for solutions that make their life better. And we see this in our everyday experiences. Most of the successful businesses we see today are based on the idea that somebody identified a problem, came up with a solution, and then put a price to the solution. Second way for me is a career-based approach. Now, this is starting a business in line with one's experience. This usually works because, number one, you have the industry experience, you have established contacts in that trade, and in most cases, you also have the tools of trade. So this is the idea that you're looking at what you're currently doing at the moment, and then you're saying, is it possible that out of this experience I have, and out of these contacts that I've established, I can start something of my own? The third option for me is when you identify opportunities within your area of influence or within your workplace. Now, what do I mean by this? This is when you use your influence on the current job. So you're working and you probably have an influential post and have access to information and other opportunities. So this is when you use that influence on that job to create value for yourself, and in other cases, value even for your other close friends and business associates. Now, as Black people, we have been programmed to believe that if you think that way, you are a corrupt person. But for me, the experience that you build in your career, the relationships that you establish through your network of contacts, that's your currency. And that currency must create further value that should take you to the next level. Now, I'm going to give examples. You're allowed to disagree with me on this one, but I'm going to give examples. For example, if I'm a procurement manager or I'm a buyer in a big organization, I'm exposed to the supply chain for that particular company. I know where the company is spending money. Now, if I look at any business, Coca-Cola, I'm just using it as an example, more than 80, if not 90% of the money that the business spends, they spend it on procurement. So if I'm going to be identifying opportunities within that organization, assuming that I'm working for it, then I want to understand, where does this company spend their money? Are they spending their money on bottles? Are they spending their money on bottle tops? Are they spending their money on water? What are they outsourcing? And therein lies the opportunity. Now, in my circle of friends, I'm sure you can influence somebody and say, you know what, I'm working for Coca-Cola, and do you know that Coca-Cola is spending 30 million rand per month or per annum on this particular product? And I sit in the meetings where decisions are made. I sit in the meetings where contracts are allocated to people. I can influence those decisions. Then why can I not consider using my influence to create value for the people that I care about and for me? And for me, that's one of the biggest opportunities that a lot of our people let go and tapped into. Why? Because we've been programmed to think that if I think that way, I'm being corrupt. I'd like us to discuss more on this at the end of this presentation. Now, the question is, why is it that the majority of people are not doing this? A lot of us people are held back by fear. Sometimes it's fear of failure. Sometimes you are afraid what the society will say if it doesn't work. Sometimes it's what I call the I cannot do it syndrome. It's not for me, it's for the other people. So I do recognize that the majority of people are scared and may not even pursue some of these ideas. For me, this is not a call for people to start and leave employment and start businesses, because trust me, the issues that people are afraid for or that are afraid of, these issues are real. And statistics tell us that a good number of small businesses fail within the first 2-3 years of operation. So it's not irrational to be afraid. I think the issue is, how do you, in a practical way, where you're not taking unnecessary risk and making irrational decisions, make choices that can ensure that you create alternative sources of income. Just coming back to the presentation, the call now that I'm trying to make to the rest of us brethren is, we're trying to influence each other to be a different type of thinking people. A thinking that says, am I doing enough? What ideas can I explore so that I can create further value? And what ideas can I explore so that I can create secondary streams of income? Someone may say, what about if I just save money? For me, the jury is still out there. I'm still to find somebody who ever saved their way out of poverty. I think we need to be thinking outside of the box. Let's harness our own resources as a people to create value for ourselves and for each other. And if we pursue that kind of thinking long enough, we're bound to achieve something. I'm going to end this presentation here and hand over back to my chairman, Brother Anda, so that we can take discussions from the brethren. I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Njenge. You highlighted a few things in your talk. By the way, we can allow people to raise questions, and I see there's somewhere under the chat you can raise your hand if you want to ask a question. And yeah, so I see that You say you emphasize something that here you must provide a service that provides solution to your clients. So because I mean there's been a time whereby, or there was a time whereby people were leaving employment in numbers. Others, they will take their pension and say that I'm going to open up a business. And as you said, the first 5 years, you lose, sometimes you can't even make it. And that normally leads to people demoralized, and at the same time others, they commit suicide because they took their life saving and put it in this business that they believed that this business is, this idea that you have is going to is going to succeed, which is one thing that sometimes we fail as individuals in terms of doing what is called market research. I noted you, Sipo. So that is it's important. I've got a friend who owns about 44 to 50 flats around in Joburg, and is managing about 400, almost now 450. And he says that his business, he's providing shelter to the people. So and his plan is to by 2022, at least he has been reached about almost 500 homes where he collects rent from various tenants, but is using a stock kind of a group of a stock fell. So when you look at these things, it is important that you do a market research first, so that before you get into business, you know what service that you are providing, not just you seeing someone else who's doing who's in a business, and also you go in without doing such. So that's another thing that I picked up from your discussion. And I want you to, if you can elaborate more, unless I have others, they picked it up, where you said career-based approach. Can you, if you can elaborate more on that in terms of a business? But for now, let me give it to Usipo. I see his hand is up, so that he can ask.
Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening, Usipo.
I think my question is around almost closer to the last question that you've just mentioned. Isaac mentioned something when starting a business and you're already employed, wanting to venture, maybe in your stream of work. You mentioned, made an example of supply chain. There's I'm not sure how legal it is for me. Let's say I'm in supply chain and I see this gap, and I want to provide the very same service, um, maybe to the client that we are servicing, but I think I can do it better and start something whilst I'm still working. We've got those things. Is it legal for me to do that whilst I'm still working? Something that may conflict with the work that I'm doing. Secondly, also asking for funding whilst you are working. Those are some of the things that maybe it's out of ignorance. I'm not sure. Is it something that is legal for me to go to CIFA or CEDA and ask for 10 million and say I want to provide this service whilst I'm still employed? I've got a business that I've registered and I want to do this thing, and I'm asking now for funding. So the legalities, is it legal to do that? So those are the questions that the two that I have so far. Thanks.
Okay. Maybe others I'll take if there's any other one who wants to ask a question before Brother Njenge responds. Okay. I will give it to you, Isaac.
So I think let me start by dealing with the first point that you raised, Brother Musan, in terms of elaborating a bit more on the career-based approach. Now, a lot of people, we make the mistake of thinking that if we're going to get into business, we need to look far, 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 far away from what we already exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the reason why a lot of businesses fail, in my view. Because you've spent the past 10, 20 years doing this particular thing. But then suddenly you think about starting a business, you want to go do something that is completely divorced from what your experience is about. What are the chances of you succeeding when you do something similar where you apply your experience compared to going to start farming when you've never been a farmer? So when I say career-based approach, I'm saying I've been working I've been working for a financial institution, and I've been doing funding, for example, right? I've been sitting on a fund. I'm just saying that as an example. And then I want to start something on my own. Would I not be more successful if I get into wholesale finance, right? Start my own investment organization that gets money from the bigger guys, and then I lend that money to smaller businesses, because that's where my trade or my experience lies. And I'm bound to do way much better because I've perfected the art of doing that. And I even have the tools of trade to be doing that. So I think the point I'm making here is that sometimes you don't have to look too far away when you're looking for opportunities that are right for you. Do what you've been doing every day, and then you are bound to succeed, in my view. And then coming to the questions that Brother Siko asked, he talked about conflict of interest. Now, here is the interesting thing. If I'm going to have a company and I'm going to employ you and you work for me, I'm going to make you sign a contract that says you are not going to do anything that conflicts you in as far as my business is concerned. But you know what? That's a selfish contract that I'm making you sign. It's not benefiting you, it's benefiting me. So if we're talking about legality, okay, I'm not teaching people to go and do things that are not legal here. But all I'm just saying is, when you look at the legality and the contracts that we sign when we get into these employment contracts, these contracts are designed to play vast. You see, it benefits me more to have you sitting on your desk every day for the next
7, 6. Need to 8 the one.
Is that a comment? Okay, so it benefits me more. I'm saying if I own a business, to have you sitting on your desk every day, 8 to 5 for the next 60 years, until I don't need you anymore because I want to replace you with a younger person who I can pay less money and they do the same job that you do. So the question is, to what extent do you want to respect a contract that enslaves you for the next 60 years? Now, I'm not saying be rebellious and go and start making decisions that are going to create conflict between you and your employer and the other people that you're working with. But all I'm just saying is we need to be conscious of these things, right? I need to be conscious that I signed a contract. The terms of this contract are very limiting, and if I pursue them to the last dot, I'm going to be sitting here for the next 60 years. So what do? I don't know if I'm answering you, Sipo. I know I'm not giving you a clear answer, but it's about raising consciousness within yourself and do what is going to work for you and your family. The question was, again, how legal is it for me to go and ask for funds whilst I'm still working? So, with my experience in the funding environment, a funder is usually not interested in putting money in your business if you tell him that this is a side thing and I'm employed somewhere and I'm working an 8 to 5 job. Because that alone indicates that it indicates which side your loyalties lie or which side your bread is buttered. So if I'm a funder, I'm not going to put money into it. So what do? Do you go to the funder and say, I'm left my job and this is what I'm focusing on, yet you know you're actually working on the other side? I don't have an answer to that, right? I don't have an answer to that. But all I know is if you've identified an opportunity and you want it funded, a funder will not give you any interest if you disclose that you are 100% employed somewhere, because it tells me that this business is just a side kick for you, but you've got somewhere to fall back on. So now, me as a funder, why should I be taking the risk when you are not demonstrating that you're also taking the risk in as far as your business is concerned? So it's you need to find that balance. How are you going to be able to package your business and get it funded? Also, for a funder, if you present a business which is in line with the experience that you have. So I'm talking about that career-based approach which I spoke about earlier. If you present an idea that is in line with the experience that you have, it's usually viewed more positively because you've been doing this thing and in most cases successfully so. So there's a high chance that you're going to be successful even in your own business. Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Just to add on what you said on Sipo's question, is that as you indicated, mostly companies, they will have that clause that you cannot provide services that are offered by or in conflict with what your employer is doing. But to Sipo, his question, what I picked up is specific that what my employer is providing, maybe we can open it up. What my employer is providing, there is a gap that is not providing this particular service, and a lot of the clients and they require that service, and now he sees a gap, and then what he does is that he wants to look at the legalities in terms of taking opportunity of that gap. I'm looking at this gap. It's not necessarily the service that is provided by the employer, and to me, I don't know whether if there's a legal person here. To me, that is not in any violation with what the employer is providing. So I think personally, I think that one will go for that. I'll make an example, which is this guy. What he did was he went to his employer and said that this is what I'm thinking that we can do to improve the service that we provide to our clients and so on. And the employer didn't listen. So what he did is he went and registered a company and then started this on the side. And then what happened is that the clients, he registered a company and he resigned. And he opened up his own company. And then now almost 50% of the customers that were clients to his previous employer went to him because he has provided something that is better than what the employer is providing, or his former employer is providing. So I think it's up to you what is the drive that you have to make sure that I see a gap and no one is providing that service. I'll take a chance. God help me. I'm going to go for that. Of course, each and every successful business person, they took that leap of faith, that step to provide the services that all of us are consuming, that someone else was not consuming. I was reading another book. It's Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. This guy went to his boss before the supermarket, how the things are done currently, like where the customer, you walk in, you pick up whatever that you need, and then you go to the till and pay. Those of us who grew up from having shops at home where you have a counter and people will just come and point, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. You go and fetch, and then a person pays. So this guy goes and presents this idea to his employer, and the employer said, no, this is nonsense, and I told you that, focus on your job. And then he was fired. And then he went and convinced other people to support him in terms of financially. And then he opened up his chain store. And then he changed the model of how the supermarket is run. What we see now on Pick and Pay, ShopRite, and all the shops, it was an idea that was started by someone late in the 70s. Sorry, not 70s, 80s. So these are when you have an idea, you must make sure that you take it forward. If your employer is not providing that service, now to me personally, I don't see it that you if it's not in violation, first you need to check the legal things, and then you can go for that. Yeah, unless you want to say, Anele, I see your hand. Eh?
Let me just comment Anda, on that point before you move to the other guy. Just looking at the example you've given of this guy who was employed, then he had this great idea that he took to the employer, and then the employer said no, right? And then he then left, and then he started it, and he implemented it, and he was very successful. Now, I just want to pause for a moment and then say this guy had this great idea, he took it to the employer, and then the employer took the idea and implemented it, right? What value would this guy have created for himself?
Nothing.
You understand the question I'm asking? I'm not. I don't want. I'm not saying you should respond. I'm saying, what value would he have created for himself? Chances are the employer would have taken that idea and ran with it, and then this guy would just have stayed a salaried employee. So it's about finding for me, it's about finding a balance. The ideas you have belong to you. But the challenge we have is we're living in a society where fear has been instilled in us. Because I'm working for somebody, I feel like that somebody owns me and he owns my ideas. So I have to go and beg to be recognized first. And then if I'm not recognized, then maybe I can go and try it out there. And this is what usually keeps us in that web of employment. Because I had an idea, I took it, and it was taken. And then I was given a bonus. But to what end? That's the question I'm asking. So, yeah, back to you.
All right. So let's give a chance to Anele.
Good evening. I appreciate this presentation, and I like how we are shifting from an ordinary perception of just being employees, which is what everybody likes. I mean, and it's the easiest thing to do as well, just like Isaac has mentioned earlier on. And I think one most important thing when we want to venture into the space of business is the writing part of things, the proposals and the business plan. And I think mostly people have beautiful ideas, but they struggle to pen them down and to be able to communicate it in such a way that it becomes something that is viable, and that can make money. In fact, just to make a practical example, the idea from the elders example as well. Imagine if that guy thought this idea is great, but he doesn't trust it, and he decides to carry on working for this employee, having such a beautiful idea that he knows would be very viable and very useful for the employees, but he chooses to just keep it to himself and not share it with anybody, or even attempt to trust it enough to do something about it. And normally, such situations that we are faced with, not just as young people, but as people in general. The fact that we have an idea, but we are not sure if we could put enough measures to see if this could be converted into a business. Can this be a business at all? Therefore, I would propose that we create platforms as well, such as these, to discuss business ideas, perhaps to a certain degree. Of course, with the ideology that says we need to protect our ideas as well when we disclose them to a certain degree, so that we can help people to see, or at least to put principles or measures that outline what a good business idea looks like, and what can be funded. Like Isaac has mentioned earlier on, that if a person comes from the career perspective, it's easier to fund that person because, hello, they've been in this field for such a long time. Therefore, it makes more sense to say they've done enough investigation to assume that this person is going to be successful in this field as well. So that would be my proposal at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, Anele. What you are saying, it also covers what Usipho asked in terms of funding. That sound business plan that you draft, it will assist you in terms of getting funding from whoever that is providing the service. I think irrespective, maybe look at whether you are full-time employed or not. I think once the funder or the lender sees that, look, this business plan, it is sound, and this person in terms of projections and all those things, we are going to receive a return should we give this particular individual our money. And what you also indicated is that the fear that also sometimes it's hold us back is that when I share the idea with the brothers, with the friends, one who is going to take that idea and run away with. And it has happened before. So where sometimes you submit a proposal to a particular department, let's make an example. I'll say, Onke, he works in procurement, and you've got this proposal. And then Onke takes that proposal, and what he does, he sends it to his cousin, and then submit it, and then it's taken, and then you are not provided with the business. So sometimes it's that fear from us, that amongst us as young people, brothers and sisters, we tend to not trust each other, or we're not reliable in terms of trusting, where you will take my idea and you run with it.
I want to and just come in on that.
Yes.
The issues that have been raised by Anele.
Okay, Anele, I see your hand again.
In terms of ability to put proposals down on paper and be able to present them. As Black people, paperwork is always our biggest challenge. I see that in the work that I do. When you try to assist our Black brothers to raise capital, the papers are just not there. So we struggle. But that's sometimes you just need to find help. There are people that you can sit down with, and then they can help you put your ideas down to paper. As long as it's a great idea, I'm sure a good proposal will always come out of that. So, okay. But again, it then deals with the point of fear, which you're mentioning. We are afraid, you're right, that somebody will take my idea and run with it. But if I want to be honest with you, the business world is a jungle. When I say it's a jungle, if you step into it, you are saying to yourself, I'm prepared to take the risk, right? It's going to happen. Somebody's going to take your idea and run with it. But does it mean that then you fold away and go and hide in a cocoon and stop coming up with other ideas?
Mm-hmm.
If you try it enough times, one of your ideas is going to see you through. So you can never get that guarantee that if you come and sit down with me, I'm not going to have ideas around your ideas. But all I'm just saying is it's a risk. You are supposed to be prepared to take the risk, right? And trust people, right? Even if you have been disappointed before, but you need to trust again, because there's no way you can do business if you don't trust the next person. My rule is I take a decision the first time that I have a conversation with. If I decide that I don't trust you, then I'm not going to have business with you. If I've decided that I'm going to do business with you, it's because I've decided I'm going to trust you. So as soon as I've made that decision, all guards down, I forget about everything else and I engage 100%. And you're not going to see me coming to you putting some contingency plans in place just in case you're going to disappoint me. Because the moment you start doing that, right, the other party is always going to see that, so you're doing business with me, but you don't trust me. So it creates problems just in its own. So decide to trust and go for it. If you don't trust the person, don't engage.
Okay, thanks.
Chair.
Okay, Anele, your hand was up, and I would like also others to also engage. Yeah?
No, thank you, my elder. I'm sorted. I think my question,
you're sorted.
My follow-up question was sorted. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Any other question? Maybe experiences as the young. I'm going to put someone on the spot here. Just maybe to share one or two the experience, just to also cover. She runs a small business. It's a property industry, and during this lockdown, what is it that she is facing as the past few days, where mostly you need to engage with tenants or people who want to buy property. Olu, are you there?
Hey, Anna, you really put me under spot.
That's why.
Yes, I am here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is a great challenge that we are facing as as people in the estate agents. Mostly, I hope my face is not appearing there.
No, it is not appearing. Yeah, your camera is off. Yeah.
Okay, I was saying there's a great challenge with tenants, because at the moment, other tenants are taking chances. Others are indeed in the crisis. So as a home or as a landlord, you need to just try and work around it. I will make an example where some of the tenants they work in the hospitality industry. You know, they work in restaurants. When restaurants were closed a while back, you know, maybe 20 or 15 days before the lockdown. So one of my tenants could not pay rent. He came to me and said, I cannot pay rent. My basic is 3,000. How do I pay rent with a basic of 3,000? But she has been a good tenant. Then I said, okay, you will have to pay then 50%, right? Then that's what we agreed on. But that rent does not just automatically fade away. It will be divided amongst the months, whatever she's left with 6 months contract now. So it means we divide whatever rent she will not be paying over the period of 6 months. In another case, we just take the deposit, but everything needs to be documented. So yeah, that's what really, there are many challenges really, but it's just about tenants and landlords talking about it. Okay?
Okay.
But yeah, I think your question was really how are we managing? We are managing. It's all about communication and having good relationships with people.
Okay. Thanks. Just to add on what you're saying, is that you need also as an owner, let's say, you build up a pool or a reserves that should things like these happen, at least you are able to go back to those reserve and cover the shortfall. Because most of the time what will happen is that we tend to spend a lot and don't build the reserves. Of course, it depends from business to business. But I know that the government, was it the government or the private sector, that I think it's government, that says that the landlords are not going to evict people throughout this process, because small companies, small businesses, like I'm running my own small business, I'm manufacturing something that is exported overseas. Now I cannot do that. I cannot generate revenue, and I'll be struggling to pay my employees. So those employees now end up affecting also you in terms of your income. So government, in a way, kind of protected the tenants as well as the small businesses, and say, I've got so much tenants that have paid, like in your case, you said they've paid half. And now going to business, to the bank, now you also had to present your case to indicate that, look, this is the situation. And it goes back to what Isaac was saying, paperwork, because you need to keep records of what is happening. Like as I've indicated earlier on, that a friend of mine hasn't been paid for four months. And now one of the requirements, remember government is saying that they've got this fund that they've set aside for small business to help them. He told me that one of the requirements, they said that they want an up-to-date tax records. And he said he hasn't been paid for 4 months, so now he hasn't been returning the VAT, paying VAT to SARS. So I said to him, write a statement, inform them that this is what you've been struggling, and you submit it to them, and then let them take it from there, because now you are going to sit and fold your arms, and you see that part where it said your tax affairs must be up to date, where you need to state your reasons. These are the issues, these are the challenges that I've been facing, so then I couldn't pay the VAT. Yeah, Utsile, I see your hand. I don't know whether, Isaac, you wanted to say something?
Just before Ursula comes in, I just want to comment on your friend. And so, if he's owing SARS and he wants to do business with government, unfortunately, government will not do business with you or fund you if your tax affairs are not up to date. It's unfortunate, even if they are the ones who owe you money through their other departments. But if you haven't paid some, they don't entertain you. But you can go and sit down with SARS and make an arrangement. So if you're owing so much money, the guys will say, okay, bring us these documents and your request. Then you can do it in a way that you can manage. So you pay a little amount now, then we give you compliance, then you can continue to trade. That's the option that.
Thanks. Utsile, I see your hand.
All right. Thanks, my elder. Just for me, one question. Sorry, I joined a bit late, so maybe I'll ask a question that was already addressed. My question would be that, would you advise that during this time, will this be a right time to open up a business? Let's say I want to open up a small shop or a butcher. Obviously, after the lockdown, the economy will still be in a bit of trouble, would you think that this is the best time to open up a business, or maybe wait a couple of months until the effects of this pandemic are through?
Like, I'll give it to you.
All right. You know what? For me, the question of when is the right time to open a business and when it's not, it can only be answered by the size of the opportunity that you have identified as the person who wants to open the business. No one can tell you that open it now or wait 2 months or wait 9 months. It's the size of the opportunity. If the opportunity is now and you can see that I can make the money now, then now is the right time. But if your market research that I spoke about earlier on, if your intelligence tells you that, you know what, for what I want to do, people don't have money or they can't entertain this type of service now, then surely it's not going to make sense for you to invest now. But I think the purpose of a conversation like this is to say it's okay to be consciously thinking about alternatives, right? Because it's only when you're out there hunting and looking, do you find opportunities. And then once the opportunities come, you grab it. But if you're just sitting and you're not consciously telling yourself or looking for opportunities, then half the time opportunities that just pass without you even knowing that there was an opportunity that passed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for that. Is there any other question? Because I'm thinking we need to close so that I don't want to keep people for a long time. Oh, okay. There is an answer here from Olu. She just said that for first-time buyers, let's say you want to buy property, I guess. She's saying that this time around, it is the best time to buy. Because they say what do they say? Buy low and sell high, or what? Or buy when it's cheap. So I think for all areas now, it is mostly the best time. But I think I would say let's wait for the dust to settle a bit because we may never know, especially in South Africa with this whole COVID thing. It's just early stages. We are approaching winter. And if you look at the countries that this has hit them hard, the northern hemisphere, it's been winter. So Tina, here in South Africa, we are now getting into winter. So this whole thing is going to affect the markets even worse than what we've been seeing. So probably when we start getting into summer, that's when maybe certain things are going to start to come to effect and improve. So yeah, as we always saying that, yeah, it's the for first-time buyers. It's around when things like this, it is always the best time. I don't know whether you wanted to say something.
No. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Maybe
Yes,
I think you must just let me know when you are having this again. Then I'll be more well prepared. I will give you the, the good answers. Because I've actually just had to rush in because I had to go and see the doctor. I'm not.
No, it's fine.
I'm not, well, but yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, I would like to participate, but more prepared.
Okay, now. Thanks. We'll organize another one that is as time goes by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If there's nothing, if there's no one wants to ask the question, I don't see any hand raised. Let me take this opportunity to thank Brother Isaac for the time. And let me just be honest, it's our first time as Peniel doing this. Yeah. So we will have more of these things going forward and discussing various topics. So I would like to thank everyone who has joined, and also it's recording. It's been recorded. So we'll ask Usihle to share it on our Facebook page, and I'm not sure whether it's going to be available on YouTube. But let me say that so far the information that I've gathered and I've received here, it's valuable. So we can create more platforms, more discussions like this, so that we can assist each other. I like what Anele said, that we've got a pool of brothers or people that are in various business or various areas where they can be of use to us. I mean, I want to start a business. I don't know anything about HR, so I'll require someone who's experienced in that. In terms of finance, I'll need an advice from there. In terms of procurement, I'll need an advice from there. Marketing and other areas, you've got good strategies that can assist you, and we build each other. There's one thing that sometimes I don't like to say this, but one thing that I picked up from white people, they meet, they discuss these ideas, they assist each other, and they support each other in making sure that one succeed. If you look at the Indian community, they do that. In terms of other communities, they do that. So us as Black people, we need to start doing that and assisting each other, not one is always looking behind his back for a person to stab him on his back in terms of what he's trying to do. If we can just support each other in terms of ideas, assisting each other, how to formulate presentations, how to do certain things, so that will build us as people, as young people, in terms of building what we want to build. So I'd like to thank everyone for participating. Isaac, for taking time to be with us and away from your family, and also present this and prepare this. May God bless you, and everyone who participated. I thank everyone. And just for closing, I will ask Utsile, if you're still here, to just pray for us.
Okay, let us pray. Our Father in heaven above, we thank you, dear Father God, for the day that we had in Mutimuaka. Dear God, we thank you, dear Father God, for this lessons that we've learned, dear Father Mutimu Jehovah Ntate. May this, dear Father God, be of benefit to us, dear Father God. As we go through the journey of life, dear Father God, help us, dear Father Mutimu Ntate, to build wealth for us, dear Father God, and also for our children, dear Father Mutimu Ntate, and be a blessing to others as well, dear Father God. Mutimu Ntate, Father God, we ask, dear Father God, may be with us tonight as we sleep. We pray ask all of this in Christ's name, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you. Be blessed.